Right, we've got failed shock absorbers. Or one in particular failed, and I'm guessing it's from the corrugations that we was driving down last week, and it has just made it the worst ride ever, and also really difficult to kind of handle. It's kind of all over the place. So what we've done, we've got some emergency shocks sent in to us from Terrain Tamer from West Coast Off-Road. They really looked after us. I literally put that order in on Thursday, I think I called them, and you know, I'm obviously overseas like Monday today, so they've come in on a special delivery. Got my fuel filters because we've got some dirty fuel in the tank as well, so we need to change the fuel filter. They've just absolutely looked after me completely. All Terrain Tamer again. As you know, that's all I use on my vehicle. So what I've done is got one shock off. Now this one, you see, I'm just pushing down it slowly. It's coming back. It's not bad at all. So it's obviously not that faulty, that one, although it looks like it's done a fair bit. We're going to do this side. So I've done the other side as I mentioned. Not sure if you can see it because I can't put my head in there and have the camera there. Now it's actually possible to change this without without jacking the car up, without doing it. If you've got a lift, this has got a 2-inch lift. So if you haven't got a jack, or well, I mean, if you haven't got a jack, then you've got some serious problems anyway. But yeah, but in any case, you can actually do this just as it is here. I've already sprayed these down with a bit of penetration fluid. Now, they wasn't that bad, and to be quite honest with you, I reckon these shocks ain't been on there that long. I reckon they've not done a great deal of work. I reckon probably a couple of years of possibly, but I don't know. So we'll undo them, top one, and then the bottom one just there. We'll come back to that in a minute. So it's just those two bolts, literally push the shock together and get it out. So let me just get a spanner and we'll start undoing that. Okay, so what you need to do here, you've got 19mm on this particular brand of shock. The whole thing spins. So what we're going to do is, so if you can just see what I'm doing, I've got the 8mm on top, and I'm just undoing the nut underneath. That off, just undo that top nut there. You see as it comes out, all this stuff you don't need because none of this fits the Terrain Tamer, because the Terrain Tamer is like a 20mm or something, or a 21 or something like that. So all these, all the bushes and all that, look, I mean, they're all shot anyway. You wouldn't put used bushes back on, whatever shocks you're gonna put on. So that's all the top part of the assembly, and as you see, I've got to undo the bottom yet. So then you just got this nut on the bottom here to do. That's the bottom of the shock. So we've got much better access. That's that. Good tip here. So when these come off, if you don't know what way these cups go, because I remember doing these on a little old Renault once when I was about 18, and I couldn't remember which way the cup went. Now if you don't know, just take note as it comes off, but generally as it sits like your dish at home, your plate, with the sides curved upwards, that is the way that it goes. So, but what you can do is you can lay it on the floor like that, take your next bush off, and then just sit that on top of it, and you know that it's on top there, and you know that this is the way that it goes, comes on and off, yeah? So here we go. Absolutely hammered so that I can push it. I'm just holding it from the top and it's still not going down. And just push it all the way shut. That's it, like it stays shut. Not good. When they're wet on the sides like this, that's just where it's weeping out of the top seal, which is what I was talking about on the other side. That's where they leak from. So that's where the shaft goes in and out. So I can get it to come out. You can sort of see there anyway. So that should, obviously that's meant to be really hard to push it up and down, which I'll show you on the new shock, and if you actually look there, I think you can actually see oil coming out a bit. We'll take a look at the difference between this and the Terrain Tamer. Right, so that's what we're putting on, as I showed you before. This is how it comes in the pack. We're going to have a look on the floor. Just a quick note there, it's these guys that got me my Terrain Tamer parts super fast. I mean, honestly, it's like anything that, like, I can just call the guy up and I'm like, right, got this problem, or you know, I'm looking for this or that, or whenever I needed, you know, Terrain Tamer stockist, they're like on it, and they've either got the bits or they're getting the bits, and you know. So like this was, like I say, called up on a Thursday, and they're here on a Monday. And I've got a full suspension shock absorbers for the car. I've got my fuel filters that I needed. Massive thanks to West Coast Off-Road there, and yeah, excellent. I highly recommend them. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are, if you're in Europe somewhere or worldwide, whatever. Obviously they're Europe based, you know, they're getting parts here. Right, so as I mentioned, every shock needs to be bled, and to do that I've just done this one, but I'll show you exactly the procedure that it is. When they first come out of the packaging, they're really easy to push down, like that broken one, but it rebounds back, and that's the difference. And pushing it down, up and down 3 times, gets all the air out, because the air's got a tendency to mix with the nitrogen gas that's inside, and when you first put it on the car you'll think that it's not working. So generally these are pretty good out of the box, but they're stored laying down, and that's what causes the gas to mix. So to bleed the shock, it's literally this: push it down all the way to the bottom, you let it rebound, and then we go ahead and do it again. You do it basically 3 times, 4 times, you'll feel it goes really hard, like it is now. Once it's gone back, we don't lay them down again. That is it. They must stay in the upright position for optimum performance. And so, like that now is how we're going to fit it onto the car. Cups. So, obviously top assembly, bottom assembly. With the cups, if you don't know how they go, you can always refer back to your old shock, but in essence it is how it's got to cup the actual bush. Would be something like that, and that goes into the mounting bracket of the car, through the bracket, and then you've got another sandwich like this which will go on top again. As I say, if you don't remember, you can always look at one of the other shocks on the vehicle. Right, get that in there. That's it with the bush all bolted up underneath and on top. Yeah, so you can just see there, bolted up nicely. So shock's fitted on the front. Now we'll move on to the rears, which are a little bit easier to get to. Same procedure on the rears. So we're just going to push down on that, come back into shape. What we're going to do is, right, so how this is going to work, you've got one notch here. Now you just want to put a little bit of grease on there. So there. How's it going, guys? Right, I'm on this
a bit of a track here. It's got sort of mild corrugations on it. It's like the second day, I think it is, since I fitted the Terrain Tamer shocks, and so far, I mean, like I say, it's quite mild corrugations, but they are there, and you can almost drive over these and not feel them at all. It's unbelievable. If you're carrying weight, it seems to have stiffened everything up. So like if you're on the tarmac and, you know, roundabouts and stuff like that, you stiffened it up in that aspect, but coming onto the corrugations, it's just like, it's almost like softened it up kind of thing. It's like they've really made a massive difference. Definitely can't recommend them enough. Compared to the other shocks, I mean, all right, one of them was faulty, but over the rear, I mean, you could still feel it, and it's properly sorted out. So yeah, definitely happy with that. As I said, sort of mild corrugations. You can sort of see it there, and I mean, literally, you can drive this and you can't even feel them. They're like, yeah, they're all. I've got my tyre pressures the same, eh? Definitely well worth the money. Investing, if you're looking to invest in some shock absorbers. That sort of completed my setup there, because I already had Terrain Tamer springs on the rear, and then and on the front. So yeah, it's kind of, that was the missing piece there. So moral of the story: don't cheap out on your shocks. Don't cheap out on suspension. I hope that video's helped you out if you're thinking about getting some suspension, or if you're just wanted to see what the differences would be. And if you've got any more questions about that, or any more questions about exactly what shocks I used or anything like that, just stick them in the comments. You know, all I'll do is I'll put you a link to Terrain Tamer. You can go on there and look at, because they've actually got they've got like an upgrade, like more of a racy style shock that might be more to your what you're after. But as I say, this standard sort of version that they do is just it's properly sorted out. So yeah, cheers for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell button for new videos coming up, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.